Hey everyone, Paul ISM. Welcome to our next video build. It's going to be Alpha Model's 124th Ferrari 599XX. Right, so this is a brand new kit from Alpha Models. Came out about 3 weeks, a month ago maybe. It wasn't one that caught my eye straight away until I looked at a few pictures and then saw a video on Top Gear on YouTube about the XX kind of storage facility, and I was like, that's actually quite a nice car. I inquired to get one from Alpha Models, but they ran out, so I had to buy this one myself. I know, awful. So there's a review of this already on the channel. You can go back and have a look. It looks a great kit, but we're going to build this today and have a look. Don't forget, you can become a patron. You can support the channel, get early access on all the videos, get exclusive perks like a Facebook Messenger chat group, Saturday bench update every week for patrons only. There's links for Patreon down below, all different tiers. You can come over and join our community. There's links to everything else down there as well associated with myself, including Pro Scale paints, where you can get all the wonderful paints I'm going to use in the video today. So there we go. Right, let's crack on with the build and get started. Okay, so first off, we're going to try some part fitment. There's a few little bits and bobs to go on this. We've got these little side skirt kind of spats, I suppose you call them. They like stick up out the side. Now, on test fitting, one of them, especially this side here, is sticking up too far. It's as if when it's been cast, it's kind of bent upwards. So the gap is too small between the body and the piece. So I'm using my heat gun to heat the resin up, to try and bend it down a touch. Now, I tried repeated times. Because it's thicker resin, it takes a little bit of heat to get it going. And obviously, because it's not quite a long piece, there's not a lot to get a hold of and bend. So I just kept test fitting, bending, test fitting, bending, until I got the gap to be as big as I wanted. So you can see there, that's roughly where I want it. That way it's sticking up too far. So yeah, I'm just going to keep working out with the heat until I'm happy with it. Now it does leave a seam as well, and that is going to require filling, because on the real car it's seamless. So we'll fill that in later on with some CA glue. But right now, I'm just trying to get this piece nice and level. So once I'm happy with that, it's a test fit of the rear section. And again, more fit issues. The back end of this sticks out way too far. Now, at first I thought it was like a design feature, but looking at the real car from different angles, it actually sits flush. So that piece sits out way too far, but luckily the diffuser fitted underneath perfectly. So we're going to have to reduce. You can see just how far that sticks out there. It's quite a way. We've also got these little side winglets as well, which go just behind the rear quarter windows. So a bit of an odd shape, this car. There's like a little tunnel through these, like a little air vent, and it has these little winglets on the edge. So I'm just test fitting everything, make sure it all fits in place. These little winglets go there. Now there were locating points on the body. One side of mine had snapped off, the other side hadn't, but putting the other side in, you can see the hole underneath. So I opted to cut both the locating points off, and we'll locate it by eye later on. I'm just test fitting everything, weighing it up which way it all goes, and I have a few dabs of super glue in the locating point. It's tricky to do this, so take your time if you're doing it. The fitment's not the best, and you need to make sure that it's level and straight. So I get it glued in place, get it fairly level how you think, and then offer up to the car and test it. On the side, these side skirts are brass photo etch, really nice thick brass. So I'm just test fitting roughly where they'll go. They look okay, so they're going to need carbon fibre in later. And of course, we're just going to run the scriber through the panel line. So again, as always, doesn't quite need rescribing, but I just thought I'd clear the panel lines out. And you can often feel when you're scribing the kind of drag through it, which is not quite as smooth as it should be. You can actually see my scriber grabbing as I'm doing it. But just take your time here. Don't be slipping out the hole and scratching the body, because you're just making more work for yourself. So I'm not trying to make these any deeper really. I'm just cleaning them out so they're nice and flush and all level and what have you. So just a light scribe with a Holly 0.2 scriber, and we can get it all nice and even all around. Now, quite a lot of flaws in this body that haven't really become evident yet. For a brand new kit, this one's a little bit disappointing on the body. As soon as I get a first couple of coats of primer down, I see all the flaws, and we'll come back to the bench to fix those. But like I say, these side pieces here stick out way too far. They're a good millimeter sticking out. So first I hit it with the UMP 240, and I was like, yeah, that's not going to do it. You can see how far that's sticking out there, miles out. So I thought, right, I'm going to have to protect it. So I put a bit of masking tape on it and got the 100-180 thinny sponge out instead. That made short work of it. And then we just went through various grits of the lesser grade, the higher grade UMP sanders, just to get rid of all the scratch marks from the quite aggressive white thinny stick. There we go, we're onto the 400. I'm pointing to something, it's over there. And just doing it until we're flush, much better. Clear out the panel line, which there is a panel line there. There we go. We do the same to the side and get it all equal, and then we're going to scuff up all the body as per usual with 2000 grit Tamiya sponge. You know why we do this by now, but I'll always reiterate just to make sure everyone knows. We're just keying the body. We're putting thousands of micro abrasions in the body to allow our primer to grip a bit better, a bit more surface area, and we also get rid of the imperfections, any greasy marks, glue marks, anything that may have landed or dried on the body in the casting process. Like I say, there are quite a few flaws on this. We can't really see them until we prime. There's some on the door, there's one on the roof, a massive one on the roof, but we'll get to that in a little bit. So just going all the way around, you're just scuffing back the primer, the resin. We're not trying to sand anything off, we're just keying the surface. There's no real pressure being applied. We're just keying the surface very lightly, taking the shine off the resin and just giving us a nice even coat all over. Well, not coat, but sand all over. The toothbrush, the old Mickey Mouse one, James's one when he was a baby, oh boy, being used to get rid of the dust out the panel lines and all the recesses and what have you. I'm just having a final inspection to see how everything looks. And like I say, sadly, you can't really see any flaws right now. ProScale Paint, a pre-paint degreaser, coming to the end of my bottle. I've had this since we started ProScale. So yeah, 27 models have been built with that bottle. So good value for money. So I always put a little bit in the lid. The toothbrush, again, just getting all those nooks and crannies, all the recesses, just get rid of any mold release or nasties that may be there from the casting process. That way we know with the body keyed and degreased, our primer's got the best adhesion possible. As always, preparation is key. In this case, just go around the whole body until you're happy that it's nice and clean. So we've super glued that rear bumper on. That's all in place now. We'll let all the other parts separate. We're going to dry off the body with a nice clean piece of kitchen paper. We've got it securely mounted to our patented painting stand. I'm just going to dry it all off. We'll get some cotton buds and all nooks and crannies to dry it off completely. All the rest will evaporate because our pre-paint degreaser is alcohol based, so it just will evaporate away. But this will give us the best possible surface for primer, which is exactly what we're looking for. I've also done those two other parts, the little winglets as well. All the other body panels are carbon, the mirrors, all the front splitter diffuser, the lot, so they'll be done later on. And here we are on the spray. We've got ProScale Paint White Microfiller Primer. We've got my Iwata Revolution 0.3. We're about 18 psi. And we're going to put several light coats down of the primer. Build them nice and slow. Most important with white, because white, it's so easy to overspray, get runs and fish eyes and what have you. So just take your time. Nice light coats, building it up. And literally, as soon as that little bit of primer hit the body, I could see a flaw instantly. So I guess we're using this as a guide coat, like they do on full-size cars. Spray a light coat of primer down, and the flaws should just literally appear before your eyes. Like I say, there's quite a few on this. Quite disappointing for a new kit. Yes, it just seems to be like the quality's up and down at the minute a little bit. But still a great kit nonetheless. Just takes a little bit more work. So we're going to give this a light prime all over. And then we'll take it back to the bench and sort out those problems, as we can see. So other than that, the body's in pretty good shape. It's a pretty accurate shape to me of the 599XX. Very interesting cars. Colour choice was a difficult one on this. There's not many of the actual cars in real life. So looking for a colour reference that may be a little bit different was a bit difficult. But we decided on a good colour later on. And like I say, we just need to get this prepped, ready for paint. So just getting all the nooks and crannies. Like I say, I've already know I'm going to be coming back to do another primer coat. But we're just going to get our guide code down now so we can see where everything is. We'll let it dry for an hour or so, and then we'll flat it back and fix all those problems. As always, put that colour couplet on your airbrush. I've learnt many times. Yeah, spilling paint on the body. Anyway, so we've got a major flaw on this door. So I've got a 220 UMP thinny stick here. And we're just very gently sanding away, and then we'll go through all the grits of thinny stick again, and then the sponge sander like we're doing here to feather edge all the paint. There's one on that front wing slightly there as well. Then just as I was finishing up, I spotted one on the roof and one on the rear arch. So just using the Tamiya 2000 sponge here just to take the primer back, feather the edge, and deal with the imperfection in the body as well. Like I say, quite a big one on the front of the roof as well. And just goes to show you can't see it when it's bare resin, but as soon as you get a coat of primer down, it becomes a lot more apparent. There we go. These Tamiya sponges are great as well. I really do like the Tamiya sponges. Back in the booth, we'd load up our airbrush with the Pro Scale Paints White Microfiller Primer again. We've gone over the body with our anti-static brush, and we're just going to very lightly put a couple of light coats over the feathered edges of where we've just sanded, and then we'll put another couple of coats on the entire body as we go. So don't rush this, just build it up nice and slow. Thankfully my cave is lovely and warm at the minute, with it being a bit cooler in the UK. It's sitting at like 25°C in here with the heating on, very toasty, nice and warm. So the paint dries nice and quick. So by the time I've done one side and come back, the other side's nice and dry. So just building up slowly over the bare resin. And then once we've got that covered, we can start putting another few coats down on the body and get our full coverage of primer. So just take your time. Like I say, white is one of the more tricky primer colours to spray. Very easy to put too much down. Once you get the coverage of primer down, it becomes a lot easier and more forgiving. But on bare plastic or resin, you'll find it'll get runs, it'll fisheye, it'll separate. So just like the slide coats, like I say. And there we go. Now we're putting full coats on the body. So we're back in business. And just that little hiccup that probably cost us a couple of hours by the time we let things dry and what have you. We're getting a much better finish on the body, which is what we want, to be honest. But like I say, it shouldn't have any flaws in it. It should be perfectly finished. But this is what modeling's all about, isn't it, at the end of the day? It's fixing problems with solutions. I'm being naughty. I've not got my colour couplet on. We've been here before, Paul. Primer's dry for a good few hours now. I think it might even be the following morning. I can't see the time we'll watch. No, it's 20 to 5 in the afternoon. So we'll just let this dry, and we're hitting it with a 3000 Tamiya sponge this time. We're just going to lightly tape back the primer, taking off any high spots, any spits of paint, anything that may be on there. And obviously, because it's a microfiller primer, it dries a little bit rough. Once you've sanded it back, it will fill all those microporous imperfections in the body, and you'll end up with a super smooth primer coat. So again, just going around meticulously all over the body, getting every little nook and cranny, every corner, and there we go. Now the colour we chose for this is Ferrari Bianco Fiji Pearl White. So different colour for me, and a bit of a risky choice, but yeah, it paid off. So this is the base coat. So basically just like a white base coat. So nothing really all that special, but it's just a nice white base coat. Now you can put this over primer, but I don't think you get the colour required. Primer isn't like a true white. It never looks as white as proper white paint. Been there, done it before. So worthwhile with our two stages doing the colours correctly. And just take your time. So we're going to put about roughly 6 or 7 coats of white. Because we're putting white on white, it covers quite quick, but I want to get the real depth of colour. There we go, getting all those wheel arches as well. So like I said, this is the base colour for the paint. This is the first time, believe it or not, I've used one of our two-stage paints that I can remember anyway. Seen loads of people use them, just never picked one to use so far. So a little bit of a trial by fire here, but with full confidence in our paints. it shouldn't be a problem at all. So yeah, putting white on white, you've got to be very careful. Angle it towards the light, you'll see your coats going down. And we're just putting light mist coats down. No benefit in applying them thick. Light mist coats, building them up multiple layers is the way to go. Getting all the nooks and crannies, wheel arches under the sills, in and around all those grills. Getting in from the back to the front in the scuttle panel where the window wipers go, and those vents on the bonnet, and all those little winglets on the side. It's a tricky one to paint, this one, so just take your time. So with 7 coats of that on, we've got a nice white base coat. Now we can apply our pearl coat. So we'll just give it a blast over. This is now the pearl coat. So this is a much more opaque colour with a pearl tint to it. So again, we're just running meticulous, getting all those nooks and crannies, nice light coats building up. I think I put about 5 or 6 coats of the pearl on. Very, very light coats, barely used any paint whatsoever, and it gave an absolutely stunning pearlescent finish. So, like I say, bit of a risk this one. A pearl white on a Ferrari, definitely not my normal kind of colour I'd kind of pick. But I was asking for suggestions in the supporter chat group for my patrons, and this one was mentioned, and I dismissed it at first, and then went and had a look and thought, you know what, that is actually a really nice colour. So it's going through my Water Revolution CR3, which is a 0.3 revolution at about 18 psi, and you can see that pearl colour coming through now, and this is just the first coat. So I'm going to apply about 5 coats of this, building up nice and slow. And we're going to end up with an absolutely stunning pearl white colour at the end. It really is going to look absolutely beautiful. There we go, put it to one side, and obviously we're spraying our little winglets at the same time as well to keep the colour the same. Here we go, a few coats later. I'd say we're probably 6 coats in there. How much paint have we used? Can we see the bottle? Virtually nothing. Not even 5 milliliter of paint's gone out that bottle. Very little gone. And I'm just getting all those nooks and crannies. I really should have my colour couplet on my airbrush, but I haven't. Very nice colour. Lovely. Very happy with that. And here we go. So it's dried. It's the next day. Now, the other choice, the decals. There was black, silver, and yellow decals with this, I believe. And the majority chose black, especially my buddy Dan. I could not keep him away from the black. I said silver, he said no, black, and I think it was definitely a good choice by Dan. I'm joking. Dan wants me to do it silver, but I knew this was going to have loads of black on it, so I kind of wanted the black accents on the body. So Hobby Design decals, they went on absolutely beautiful. Standard decal procedure, put them in the water. They came off the backing paper crazy quick, even in cool water. And then get all the moisture from behind them with a nice soft cotton bud. And then we're going to hit them with some UMP decal solutions and get them set in place. So it goes across the bonnet, across the roof, across the boot lid. It's a nice black stripe with a pinstripe on the very edge. So we'll give it a brush over to get any moisture from behind it. Make sure it's all central and straight where we want it. Quite easy on this front one because we've got the badge at the front we can line it up with. There we go, lays down absolutely beautiful. And then the roof one in place as well. Bit more difficult to eye up this one, so we're going to get the ruler out and double check this is in the right position. Now be careful with a metal ruler. I should really get a plastic one because it'll scratch the paint really easily. Measure it to a point on the body that should be the same, and then measure the other side and make sure it matches, and hopefully by eye it should near enough be spot on. So do the front, then the back. Yes, it's a bit OCD this, but I like my stripes to be straight. Nothing annoys me as seeing wonky decals on cars, and it's surprising how many you see if you really look close. So it just needs scooting over a touch. There we go. And then again, get all the moisture from behind, and we need to put this decal in the window recesses as well. So we make sure it's fully burnished down, all the moisture from behind, out from behind it, and fold it over into the window recess as well. So really nice decals to work with. They lay down absolutely beautiful. No issues at all. UMP decal solutions working wonders on them as well. And again, this decal shaped through the rear window. and it goes over the boot lid and around the back. So a little bit of a tricky one to put in place. Don't forget, you can always pick them back up if you're gentle. Don't be scared of decals, especially ones of this quality. They're very forgiving when they're hobby design or a good brand of decals. And again, the ruler's out, just checking the central. And my eye is pretty good because I think that was pretty much bang on. Just needs a scoot. There we go. One final check. I think I'm going to be happy with that now. There we go. We've got our cotton bud to get the moisture out from behind, and then we'll hit it with the decal solutions again. So, like I say, with decals like this, these are very prominent. So, time taken here, well worth it. Make sure they're central. Make sure they're properly laid down. Make sure you don't rip them. Just be gentle but firm, if that makes sense. So, burnish the edge down, burnish the top, and then we're going to fold it over the back. And with our UMP decal solutions, make sure it's fully burnished down. We'll get a bit of heat on these as well. That'll help remove any moisture from behind the decal. And we'll leave this probably about 12 hours before we 2K it. So there we go. It might have even been longer actually. I forget now how long I left it. There we go. These water brush pens, absolutely brilliant. Nothing in them. They are designed to have a water in them to help blend water pencils. But I just use it as a decal brush because years ago I used to put the solution in it and squeeze it out when needed, but found they weren't airtight and your decals lost their potency over time, or the solutions did. So I got that used to using the brush. That's what I continue to use now. Decals are dry, but a few hours later now, and we've got our Tamiya black panel line wash. I've mixed a bit of grey with this. To give us a nice dark grey colour, and we're just spotting it around the body, let the capillary reaction carry down all the panel lines until we're happy. It takes about 30 minutes to cure, or dry rather, and obviously it's enamel based over lacquer, so it doesn't interfere with the paint at all. So just getting all the panel lines, let it dry, we'll wipe off the excess, and it just accentuates them all, adds a bit of depth and life to the car. So, important step in my opinion. A lot of people do it after, but I like to do it before because I know it's safe under the 2K and it won't give us any issues at all. And there we go. The whole car looks like some kind of weird Dalmatian now with all the spots all over it. Definitely looking a bit rough. Sorry. Should be collared for that one, shouldn't I? So like I say, it takes about 30 minutes to dry. And then we can get a cotton bud with some Samsodor and take off the excess, and here we go. Absolutely beautiful. Looks great. Really nice pearl color. You can see the pearl on the last picture really well. The decals are set down beautiful, and I really do like the black on white with the decals. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. And there you go. You can see the really nice pearl flip in the paint now. Looking great. Right, it's that time again. It is 2K time. So we're in a fresh booth, fresh filter, fresh paper on the bottom. We've got our plastic storage box to prevent dust on the left. We're putting some water down in the booth as well, so if any dust lands on there, it doesn't get airborne again and ruin our 2K. We've got our Pro Scale Paints 2K system. We've got our Iwata CR5 0.5mm airbrush. It's at about 22 psi. And we are gloved up. We've got our proper respirator on. I'm in the room on my own. Just follow the safety precautions, you'll be just fine. So our 2K is a 2-to-1 mix, so it's 2 parts clear to 1 part activator. So if you do 10 milliliters of clear, you need 5 milliliters of activator. So there's a 10 milliliters of clear gone in there, and I'm now going to put 5 milliliters of activator in the mix. So this is a chemical compound catalyst. I don't know why I say chemical compound, it's just a catalyst. So this is isocyanate based. This is the hardener that activates the clear. So you have plenty of working time. But I would definitely try and get any sittings done in about 20 minutes. If you're going to be longer than 20 minutes, I do 2 smaller batches of 2K just to ensure it's perfectly good for the last coat. And you can leave it in your airbrush between coats. A lot of people ask me, I do it all the time, no problem at all. I'm only leaving 3 to 5 minutes between the initial flash off. Mix that together. Do not reuse these pipettes. Once you've used them for one thing, throw them away. Do not put them back in different bottles because you contaminate the 2K set and it'll go off on you. With this now, we need 5% thinner. So we've got 15% of combined clear and activator. So we need to add 0.75 milliliters of thinner. Nice and easy to do using a pipette. And again, we'll mix this all together. There's my compressor. There we go. And again, we'll throw a pipette away. Never use that again. I put the black tar down so I can see the markings on the medicine cup. FYI, just so you know. We've got one of our 190 micron paint strainers. We sell the Pro Scale. And we're going to strain it. There we go. It's the only paint I strain this because you can get crusty deposits of activator on the rim of the bottle. And I'm always worried about it falling in there and end up in your 2K. So I always strain my 2K. So the airbrush is loaded up. We've got our safely mounted car. We've got our Tamiya anti-static brush to give it a good brush over. Like I say, I'm double gloved on that left hand. I've got my respirator on, my full face Scott respirator. I've got my AS 300 bench vent booth on the go as well. So we are nice and safe. I'm in the room on my own. There's no pets or family members in there with me. And we're going to apply our first coat. So the first coat of clear coat is going to be a semi-wet coat. So I'm not going for a full heavy wet coat. We're just going for a semi-wet coat. Just a nice even coat all over. I'm going to speed this up a bit. It's on double speed, just so you know. Otherwise we will be here all day doing this. So nice even coat. Giving us a nice semi-gloss finish. And what that'll do then, that'll tack up as it dries over the next 3 to 5 minutes. Become unbelievably sticky. And when we apply our second wet coat, that will reduce the risk of it running. And I'm yet to have a run on this paint yet. It is unbelievably forgiving, the Pro Scale 2K, and it works absolutely wonderful. So there we go, getting all those nooks and crannies all around those vents, grills, arches, side skirts, the sills under the front and rear back bumper, in and through those grills as well. Being very thorough, and we'll also do the 2 little winglets at the same time. Don't forget, smaller parts don't require as much paint, and it's very easy to overspray them. So really take your time. And we're back in the box for 3 to 5 minutes while it flashes off. And then we're back for our second coat. So, same mixture, same airbrush. We're going to put another semi-wet coat down. Now, we're not trying to get a full wet coat. We're just trying to get a really decent coat of clear coat down now. So, I'm not bothered there's some orange peel left after this. We're going to get that with the final coat of paint, which we're going to thin a little bit more. Something I've been experimenting with for quite some time. And for me, this is the optimal percentage of thinning. So for the first 2 coats that we've done, this is our second one, we've thinned the mixture 5%. For the third one, we're going to add another 10% of thinner to the combined mixture of what's left behind. So if you end up with, like, say, 10 milliliters of combined clear and activator left, we're going to add another 1 mil of thinner. And I'm finding that thinner mixture on the last few coats is just paying off and working really well. So what we do is we get our medicine cup, we tip most of the 2K out like a moron. Yes. Thankfully we're okay. We put it in our new medicine cup so we can read what it says. And then we will thin that appropriately. Yeah, my colour cup lid landed in there too. Well done, dummy. There we go. We empty the airbrush in it and then spray out the remnants into our old filter. And like I say, whatever's left in there, so say you've got 10 milliliters of combined clear and activator, we're going to add 1 mil, 10% thinner to it. Give it a good mix up again. And this will make the 2K quite a lot thinner now. So when we're spraying these coats on, it'll spray a bit better, cover better, and it'll self-level a lot better. And I'm finding putting this over those 2 previous applied coats of 2K, it just gives an absolutely beautiful finish, self-levels wonderfully, and just looks nice and thin. Really does lay down beautiful. So it's a worthwhile step this. First 2 coats with a 5% thinner ratio and the last one with 10%. And I find this works great. I've tried many different ways and for me this is the optimal way. So looking good now, that pearl white looking absolutely fantastic. The black decals really looking striking as well. just ensure it. And now use your light to angle the body, because we want to make this flawless. Now this should look like glass. If you can see any imperfections, any orange peel, or if it's not quite perfectly smooth, put a bit more 2K down. Do not be afraid to put more 2K down, because how this dries now, how it looks is how it's going to dry, so it's important to do as good a job as you can. So clean the bench up a little bit, rinsed out the airbrush, we'll let that sit for another couple of minutes, let it self-level a bit more. Take it out and I've got an absolute near flawless finish there. A couple of spots of dust, and again a couple of minutes later have another little look, and absolutely beautiful clear coat. Like I say, other than a couple of bits of fluff in there, it's looking really good. The colour looks good, it's like glass. The two winglets are looking good as well. And here's a video I took of it several hours later. This is hand dry in 3 hours. You can pick it up and it's cured in about 24 hours. But it takes a bit longer to fully dry. I always leave it about a week before polishing. As you can see there, we've got a lovely pearl white. Those black decals look stunning. The clear coat is absolutely beautiful, nice and deep. So once this is flatted back and polished up, it's going to look absolutely wonderful. And that's where we're leaving that build today. So we're back in part 2 very, very soon. Thanks for watching today. As always, you get access to these videos by becoming a patron. And a huge thanks to all my patrons for your continued support. Goodbye, everyone.